I think the title of this one is Elbows Deep.
I put the date on it anyway.
One is Elbows Deep. You tell us when.
I think I can allow. I should allow multiple presenters.
Sure.
Okay, well, all set.
Why, indeed. Uh, I don't know who that is. Did somebody pin themselves here?
I
I don't know.
didn't.
This screen here is not mine.
Uh, I have
Somebody's,
multiple share. I'm screen sharing. I should stop share and let you share, right?
yes, please.
There
There
we
we
go.
go. Hi, welcome to TAC. It's 3/28 of 2025. Up here in the North Country, it's -5 with 10 inches of snow in the last 2 days.
Whoa.
So we're elbows deep today, I
But
tell you.
still up. But
But
still
still
up.
up. Elbows up. That's right, Ann. Hope you guys are doing well. So we have Joe is now where is he? He's in Seoul, Korea.
Yeah.
Is he running from Putin? What's his problem here?
I don't know. Maybe he'll defect to North Korea.
Oh, maybe.
It's only
And
a
then
couple miles from the than the border.
yes, yes. And then we have Ann Lee later and during. She's going to bring us up on Ukraine and she rates for the daily cost, KOS. Please check out her column whenever you can. We're going to go straight into so we I don't know. I just laugh. I laugh at JD Vance. So he went to Denmark, well, to visit his wife who was in Denmark. And Tupolev Travel, when the U.S. Consulate called and asked if the U.S. Vice President's wife, Usha or Yusha, could visit our store, we replied that she would be happy to. Um, then they changed their mind. After closer consideration, however, we have not informed the consulate that we do not want her visit. Or we have now informed the consulate that we do not want her to visit, as we cannot accept the underlying agenda and will not be part of the press show that quite of course comes with it. Greenland belongs to Greenlanders. You know, the Vance team went door to door pleading with anybody in Greenland to welcome the VP and the wife. And they said they have finally understood what the Greenlanders here in town have been trying to tell them for a little over a week. We don't want visitors right now. But that doesn't stop JD Vance. So he was expected to criticize the Danish government on what had been the second lady's cultural visit to Greenland. And I believe there was something about how bad the Danish have been treating the people in Greenlander. He was going to try that out. So they're going to, yeah, they're going to visit the U.S. Army base that's in Greenland. And well, God bless them. Eh? This is actually kind of horrific. Federal agents ambushed the student and disappeared with her, and it should chill you to your core. And this is coming from Slate. I have a video on it, and we are going to take a look at it. You just bear with me. Whoops, optimize. How can I not optimize? Oh, well. Tell me if you hear it. So she's approached by
What the hell?
Ma'am, you got it. Okay. Take a breath. Yep. We're gonna take it right to the camera. Come on. We'll show you everything. Okay. Yep. You're fine.
I understand you looking scary. We're the police. We're the police.
We're the police.
Yeah, you don't look like it. Why are you hiding your faces? Why are you hiding your faces?
Yep. We're gonna take everything. Yep. I'm gonna get the doctor.
Yeah, we're gonna take you.
I see some faces here. How do I know this is the police? It's like, oh, hey. It looks like it. Is that been going on here?
Yeah, so that happened. I'll give you a little more information about that. Rumyaza Ozturk,
Hmm.
a PhD scholar on a student visa at Tufts
Tufts.
University, was walking down a street in Somerville, Massachusetts on Tuesday night to meet friends to break her Ramadan fast when a man in a dark hoodie and baseball cap crossed the street toward her. Chilling surveillance footage shows the moment he approaches. "Excuse me, ma'am," he says politely, his tone disarming. She hesitates and tries to sidestep him. Another man in plain clothes appears across the street. One reaches for a radio, the other moves in. And we just seen the video on that. One of the men goes for her phone. The other grabs at her hands. She screams. Shock and fear ripple through her voice. Two masked women join them, tugging at her backpack, peeling the strap from her shoulders. "I'm going somewhere. I need to call someone," she pleads. "We're the police. Relax," one of the men says in response. My gosh, eh? Her lawyer said that she hasn't been able to contact her and has no idea of her whereabouts. The New York Times reported she appeared to have been moved to a facility in central Louisiana, as well as with Mohammed Khalil, whose own deportation case has been at the forefront of a constitutional crisis. Khalil is a Colombian graduate and lawful permanent U.S. resident. He was detained and accused, again, without evidence of supporting Hamas. It's hard to believe the scene was happening in the United States, and this seems to be an explicit and proud policy of the Trump administration. To be clear, she is not accused of breaking the law. Homeland Security hasn't bothered to explain its reasoning. She is a Muslim American, and this crap is really, really hard to digest. I would I would venture.
Her research is on kids. It's just insane. Um, I mean, they just disappeared her. I mean, it was just, they did show a badge. They did, but if you're traveling, if you have that kind of status, you should have more people around you. Number one, um, everyone's got to practice OPSEC, right? Operational security for everybody who's vulnerable should. You don't go out there by yourself where these people are going to bushwhack you.
Oh, you got that right, eh? And Trump said that he always thought Canadians would still visit even after all his came out and said that after all this stuff. So you got a German, you got a couple of Germans that were held. You have these people who were disappeared, especially without due process. And you had two singers from Canada who were detained and an actress from Canada who was detained. So I'm not saying it's getting any better. Probably could be worse, but I think Professor John will like this one here. We've got a Rod Serling
traveling through another
Serling video here. Let me bring that up. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? To entertain John, right?
Night gallery tonight.
Ooh.
traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land with boundaries of that of imagination. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone, submitted for your approval. I want all Canadians to know that a large majority of Americans have a great deal of respect for our Canadian neighbors and love going to Canada to spend our tourist dollars in such great cities. We Americans are embarrassed by the way Donald Trump is treating you with his tariffs. Canadians deserve a lot better than that. Canadians have to understand that the MAGA Trump voters are uneducated morons and racists and are not representative of what most educated American voters think.
Did that not come through?
No, it's fine.
Oh, oh, okay. Okay, all right. Yeah, not all of them. Where are we going to go to next? I think we're going to talk a little bit about Florida, if you don't mind. I hope some of you guys have some things on this. So Florida lawmakers could remove child labor protections for many teens, based on the fact that the migrants who were picking fruit and stuff, especially down south, are gone. So they have a bill, Bill 918, would lift restrictions on 14 and 15-year-olds who are homeschooled or in virtual school. And it passed by a 5-4 vote. And this even would allow 14-year-olds apparently to work overnight. Business groups, including the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association, support the bill, arguing it would help fill labor shortages, right? And provide teens with more economic opportunities because school is too damn high.
And why are there labor shortages? Well, because migrants are being gathered up.
100%. Whoops, stop share here. There we go. And
but this is not new. I mean, this is like, the McDonald's hiring seniors. And, this is not the first time labor laws have been thwarted or eradicated.
Right. And old people need to work, right? Because Elon Musk has taken away their Social Security. So
exactly.
Right. Minors are going to feel pressure to accept longer hours, often for economic reasons, which will compromise their health and well-being, which is true. A minor really wants to do a good job and to show they're a good worker, right? Usually is the case anyways, and they will stay.
Exactly.
I remember on school nights I used to stick around till midnight, 11:45, because we weren't allowed to work after midnight.
Well, in Florida, they'll have to wear those little lights on their caps in the alligator mines or something.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's funny. Um, Trump phoned Mark Carney, and Trump and Carney says that it was a respectful call and that Trump respected the sovereignty of the country called Canada during the private call. Most of us know that would be bullshit, but that was nice that Mark said it. So we'll see what happens, how Mark's going to treat everything. He's highly involved with business, but I guess we shall see.
He should continue to be nice to Trump. He's got to sucker Trump into crossing the border so we can arrest him as a felon.
It's true. It's true. I still think that he's ticked off at Canada because he had 2 Trump hotels here that got revoked.
Well,
up in Canada during his first term. So I think that's where a lot of it comes from. So
there you go.
Right. This person here is going to talk about Nebraska. And if you give me a second to bring it up, because I don't have it hooked up right. Here we go. 2 seconds there. Share.
It was this white woman from Nebraska, a farmer. She came on this video and she had one question. She said, does anybody in America care about Nebraska? Does anybody care about Nebraska? No. No, we don't. Let me tell you why I say this. 60% of Nebraska voted for Donald Trump, despite the fact he spent his entire election talking about his mass deportation plans. 65% of Nebraska workforce is illegal immigrants. Nebraska is a farming state, overran with farms. Now, 60% of Nebraskans voted for Trump. 65% of their workforce is illegal immigrants. And in 6 months, Nebraska's state will be going bankrupt. In 6 months, Nebraska will go belly up because they have lost their 65% of their working force in their farming industry. And she has the audacity, the caucasity to get on here and ask if anybody cares about Nebraska. No, you don't care about Nebraska. Nebraska doesn't care about Nebraska. I'm sorry for the 40% that voted blue. I'm sorry for them. But Nebraska, no, baby, no, not a bit. When you go,
I got to admit, caucasity. That's a very good word. I really like that word. Ann, are you ready to go with your stuff? If you don't mind, that's about all I got. I wanted to talk about eggs. Can we talk about eggs? 2 seconds.
Sure.
All right. So what's happened is Trump's went around the world, of course, and looking for eggs, and so you're getting some out of South Korea. Apparently, he's asked Poland, he's asked Denmark, he's asked everybody but Canada for eggs. Mind you, we don't have enough to spare because the way our supply chain process is, it always turns out just enough for the people, and so no eggs for you. So.
No, maybe you've got goose eggs or loon eggs or whatever
eggs.
happens above in your
That would be good.
Your part of the world.
I hear you. Okay, I'm going to give it over to you, Ann. You go ahead, dear.
All righty. Goose eggs, I gotta, whatever. Never had a goose egg. Anyway, yeah, well, it's been a weird week. Let's just put it that way. Ukraine is still struggling, and essentially it's disinformation and Trump trying to convince the Ukrainians that they should just give up and accept Russia's deal. Now, the thing is that Ukrainians are starting to grab back little things. And this week they managed to damage some, and it is a materials war. The Russians will bomb civilian residences and stuff, and the Ukrainians will bomb military facilities, and they managed to whack about 100 KH-101 cruise missiles this week. They bombed Engels Air Base again. I know they're probably defending it, but the Russians are probably defending it better. But Engels is where some, not all, unfortunately, of their Tu-95 bombers are the ones that launch KH-101 cruise missiles, which it's unfortunate, but they're very difficult to shoot down. The tech is not quite there for the Ukrainians to knock down KH-101s. I mean, more of them get through. Let's put it that way. The Ukrainians are getting much better. There's discussion of domestic production in terms of air defense. A lot of stuff's going on, and I have some faith in the Ukrainians being able to defend themselves against this. But anyway, it was just sort of a big deal to be able to hit the Russian supplies of fairly major weapons. On the diplomatic front, it's still the same thing. There's some sort of bizarre yakking that got interrupted by Signalgate, because there is clearly an overlap in how badly the United States does security in terms of doing not only warfare but diplomacy. And so the Russians spent a little time attacking Witkoff, Trump's golf buddy, about that he was essentially, their propagandists call Witkoff an imbecile, which seems pretty true considering the leakage of material. And ancillary to that, of course, is that somebody, and I can't recall which person, speaking from Moscow, and it may have been Witkoff actually, used the Russian Wi-Fi. So, you figure they don't really care about whether there are skiff rooms anywhere, or, and they seem to think that, well, no, the Russians aren't listening, or maybe they are, but we shouldn't care. And so that's been happening all this week with Signalgate, bombing Houthis, killing civilians. I assume that some civilians got hit when they hit whoever they were trying to get because he was visiting his girlfriend. And we know all of that simply because they had the Atlantic editor-in-chief on their chat chain. So I think it has legs, and I think we should be talking about Signalgate every darn week, because it's a significant problem relative to how the Trump regime does its business. But as I said, it is essentially Trump repeating, and all of his minions repeating the same stuff. That is that, and the Russians going, well, we're not budging on our demands. And so essentially, if you read the daily reports on information from both sides, for example, at the Institute of the Study of War, they cover a lot of Russian stuff, and they read a fair amount of Russian material, none of which is classified. It's all pretty open source, and they tell us that they report that the Russians simply will not change their minds on any kind of terms. And even the ceasefire claim that somebody may have agreed to, but it's significantly vague, on the Black Sea, That's kind of non-existent. And just from a military point of view, they still can launch missiles, although they haven't tried. And so it's not as critical as it used to be. Most of the missiles that come across the Black Sea are launched from Russia, from land bases in Russia. So that's kind of where it still is in terms of launching missiles and drones of one kind or another. And I don't think we've really seen what the Ukrainians are prepared for. I think that they are just shepherding their materials. There's a lot of um, EU, NATO material that's being positioned, and I think something's going to happen when the weather gets better, and it could be interesting. I'm hoping that that's what they've done. There are some indications that that is exactly what's going to go on, but we don't know because our government's certainly not going to tell us about it, and I think the beauty of it is the Ukrainians keep their kind of planning sort of close to the vest. So all the Russians are stuck with is trying to, oh, well, you better have elections so that we can put in a pro-Russian president and a bunch of other crazy things that are all kind of peripheral things in Belarus, things, and the Poles haven't given up on arming, and stuff's happening. There's just a lot of peripheral things that are kind of dangerous that will be distracting. Something in Bulgaria, something in Moldova. There's all these little things, and they're not that little, but that are operating on the periphery. Things that we don't see a lot of, protests in Hungary and Georgia. A lot of stuff going on, but we don't really see enough of that. Now, for example, we haven't heard anything about North Koreans in quite a while, but I think that they're out there being thrown against, and there are some indicators that they're clearly trying to, the Russians are trying to cover for their sort of lack of material. For example, there's a couple days ago, they launched an assault with 40 guys on motorcycles. So, they're kind of reaching for, how you're going to do a frontline assault. So I think that there's those kind of problems on the ground. They have been using a lot of tube artillery, and it may be because they don't have enough of it, but we kind of don't know what's going on there. It's pretty clear that they're not doing certain things. On the other hand, if you want to be kind of fair about the kind of details at the ground level in terms of ground warfare, they're close to even in terms of tanks, for example. Russians still lost more tanks in the last month, but and a lot of infantry fighting vehicles were lost on the Ukrainian side. So there's other issues sort of going on, and yet more supplies are moving in. There is a talk of some kind of peacekeeping quote unquote peacekeeping that may occur. It's the French made an agreement in terms of partnering with the Ukrainians in terms of industry. But, a lot of that is simply about trying to think about the post-war economy of Ukraine, which is going to be a vital thing. It will be worth a lot. It's clear that the Russians want it, and they want Ukraine to just sort of give it up. And I think once, that the French have made that agreement, there's a little slight agreement from the British. And so you're going to have sort of major countries being engaged in this particular kind of operation. It'll be interesting to see whether the Poles get in on this, despite all the other issues. There's a slight resistance movement in Slovakia and Hungary. There have been demonstrations. So I think stuff's going on, and our summer could be kind of busy from that point of view. Otherwise, the war continues. It's about 1,500 casualties a day on the Russian side, a little less on the Ukrainian side, simply because they're better trained and better equipped. And there are a couple of little areas where there's activity going on, which is interesting, if not, well, there's Belgorod, I think, has some activity going on, and there could be, and we don't really know because
a lot of bridges being blown up around there.
Yeah,
by the Russians and Ukrainians.
Yes, there's a kind of an assault thing, and it is a sensitive area because considering if they start moving, that's going to be a pretty critical kind of movement. because of its relationship to Kharkiv. So anyway, that's kind of what the war looks like. The Ukrainians have been driven relatively back to the border in Kursk, although we've had little, skirmishes that show a little bit of progress from Ukrainians. But I think this is all part of the retreat plan. It's not like they wanted to hold the damn area anyway. But it was a prelude to reasonable discussions about ceasefires and other things, but that's gone. We're in a new phase. And once the weather gets better, I think something different is going to happen. All this yammering about ceasefire is probably going to disappear completely in a month, but that's just me.
One of the things about Kirk's was now the Russians are firing missiles from that area. And with the Ukrainians being in there, it stopped the Russians from doing it from that area, right? Into Sumy and stuff. Yeah, there's some talk about a spring offensive. Russians are gearing up.
Yep, but I don't think that they're well equipped to do it. But the fact is, there are, it's a long front. I mean, 600 miles of, a line, and every day you have about 10 to 20 different areas of conflict, of action, and it is a kind of standard tactical situation where both sides are probing for something, and you could have some interesting results as a result.
Well, Russia has a lot of chickens. Do you think America could get eggs from them?
Yeah, Russian eggs. Nesting dolls. Well, yeah, we'll get nesting dolls. I'm surprised that we haven't made a deal with Mexico about poultry industry, but that's another thing. Whatever.
Boo!
The egg thing has not been solved very well. They truly have not dealt with it, but yet demand is contracted, and some people have found alternatives, or egg prices have gone down marginally. I don't know. It's I mean, it's not like you can hoard the damn things. Although I think that we can see other kinds of attempts, attempts to try to move Americans towards liquid egg or some other kind of thing.
Yeah. Synthetic egg production, that's all we need.
Genetically modified eggs.
Eggs, yeah. That's ridiculous.
It'll be like cheese. It'll be like all the variations of cheese. Cheese products, processed food, that kind of stuff.
I hear you.
Or they'll try and convince us that powdered eggs are a connoisseur kind of thing, or on the left side, you need to have a sort of empathy for the plight of the prison industrial complex. So you should have solidarity with them by eating powdered eggs, whatever. Yeah. Anyway.
There you go. Hey, the ceasefire is not going very well that Trump's trying to do. I think England and France have kind of given up on that too as well. I don't know if you talked about that, but
no, but it's happening on several channels. The business of some of them being in wherever they are in Saudi Arabia or somewhere to have these conversations. I mean, it's all got as I've said before, there are a lot of moving parts, and Trump himself has created several different parallel diplomatic operations, all of which seem to be staffed by idiots, who they sidelined Keith Kellogg because he's probably the most competent person among the group, because otherwise, there's all these people who play golf with Trump who are not really diplomats. So there are a lot of troubles there, and of course, it's been sidelined by Signalgate.
Yes, the old Signalgate. Oh, what a we could have done a half hour on that. You got Tulsi Gabbard lying about at the Congress about there not being confidential and classified secrets on that. You have the guy, what's his name, Jonathan from the Atlantic. Anyways, he posted the whole
Goldberg.
chat.
Yes.
The whole chat, and it had times of when the missiles were going to bomb, the types of airplanes that were going to bomb, that the Houthis, if they had the information, would have known and could have went to the base that they were flying out of.
Yep.
Okay, now this is worse than Hillary. And then you got Hillary Clinton, for crying out loud, coming out and saying, hey.
Emails. Private email servers.
Right. Nothing's going to come of it or what? Because they all said, hey, it wasn't a thing. Like, they went hard, especially on Fox News. Pete Hegseth saying, oh, it wasn't anything. It wasn't much. Don't worry about it. Forget about it. Right.
Note that they sent him out of the country. You know, there was a whole thing. They didn't want him in front of too much press, so they essentially sent him off to Asia somewhere. So all they were getting was little sound bites when he was getting on a plane. So they're trying to do all that they can to try and make us forget it. But you know, I think it's got legs. We'll see. Especially since they don't know how to handle this very well. I mean, there's an entire oppositional media frame that has not been pulled, and in fact, Fox hasn't even done it yet, well, because they're stupid. But you know, there are ways to talk about this that can actually minimize this.
Right. These guys would be dangerous if they were smarter, right?
Exactly.
You know, it's kind of a blessing that they're so friggin' stupid. At the same time, well, yeah, because Vance thought it was Hootie and the Blowfish they were going to blow up. And it was
Hootie and the Blowfish.
It was the Houthis. They've nailed a guy on the staff as the culprit who put Jonathan Goldberg's name in the signal chat, and which I think he's just a fall guy. So
yeah, he's the fall guy for Waltz, who probably isn't paying attention. He's not very. I mean, when you make,
they're not bright.
I mean, he's the national security advisor. You know, makes you want John Bolton back. At least, you know, he knew when to shut the hell up.
Yeah, he's making sense out on the.
Yeah, he's making sense now, which is even crazier.
Oh yeah, tell me.
No,
about
it's Waltz's assistant. I can't. His name is Fong or Wong or somebody. I think it was Waltz's assistant who put Goldberg on, and unknowingly probably in the chat chain. The problem is that even during the Obama administration, I think they were using Signal. So, you know, whatever.
Right, but I don't.
Signal
I don't
is
think
used.
for classified.
It's just that it's not used for this kind of operation. I mean, who would use Signal for this kind of? I mean, you just have to ask that question. Why would you do this in real time?
Right. Yeah. I mean, like Maxwell Smart had the cone of silence. I mean, they knew how to keep the secret.
Bring back the cone of silence.
That's right. And they have government issued phones, and which aren't allowed to have signal on it. Right? Yeah, you know, so what are you guys doing?
Well, even in their press coverage relative to this little group chat thing, they didn't talk about other things. You know, that a couple of these guys must have been in the skiff or in the, you know, the sit room, but they don't even talk about it. I mean, they're just idiots about even defending themselves properly.
100%.
Anyway.
100%. And they're all looking like big dummies.
Well, they're afraid.
Nice
I mean, if they talk too much, they'll get nailed by, and you know, because at the front end of the dispute, you know, Trump himself that accused Waltz of being, you know, that he was suggesting that Waltz was the guy and was an idiot. So there's all that kind of peripheral discourse going on. So that's where we are.
Somebody did an investigation just on the internet and found out Waltz's passwords and some of these guys' passwords and Gmail accounts.
Oh, Hegseth today, they discovered some guy on, I think this was some Twitter thing, that they discovered that Hegseth, his Russian email account, which is phegseth@mail.ru, and his Princeton alumni email used the same password, which which is just hysterical.
Right. And Der Spiegel is the one who found the passwords for some of America's top security officials. They found leaked information on the web, included the Mike Waltz, Tulsi Gabbard, and of course Pete Hegseth.
Well, it raises some interesting questions about kind of the intelligence community stuff with all those geniuses they have there, Gabbard, Kash Patel, etc.
Okay.
As I said, I think Signalgate has a little bit of legs, and the likelihood is that they're going to make another error because they just seem to do it. I mean,
Well, if
it's
Congress
why Trump
flips,
says 2 months is perfect. He says the 2 months has been perfect.
right? Yeah, it's perfect. If Congress flips, and they're really worried about that happening now by pulling back Stephanie or Stefanik,
Elise,
Elise
yes,
Stefanik.
Elise Stefanik. I printed up, I put up on Coast the images that they have of the apartment that you get when you're the U.S. Ambassador to the UN. It's a crazy place. It's got a infinity pool. It's
Oh, wow.
frankly, I feel slightly sorry for her that she didn't get the gig.
We should do a petition, get her the gig, right?
I mean, it's pretty luxurious. Her little apartment across from the ambassador's apartment across from the UN. But as I said last night, I think that from an accelerationist point of view, I think we should lobby to have Musk be the U.S. ambassador to the UN. I don't think it has constraints on being a citizen, and I think it'll keep Musk out of trouble because he'll in his usual megalomania, want the UN to support his Mars stuff. So it'll be really funny and also get him out of our hair because of Doge.
You're not worried about him blowing up the world then, making deals?
No, I think the rest of the world. It'll be the nice thing will be that not only will Western Europe and the Northern Hemisphere not like Musk, a whole bunch of people in other continents are going to hate him, and
Well,
that's why he should be at the UN.
he could pal around with the Russian ambassador then. Is what
Well,
he could
that's
do.
well, those two guys are probably made for each other. I mean, it's just they're. I just think it's a good place for him, and it'll get him out of even Trump. Trump might go for it, you see, because I think that the costs are becoming too high relative to Tesla's. I mean, you can only go so far in trying to declare that anyone who protests in front of a Tesla showroom is a terrorist. I mean, that's just not going to fly.
Mhm. Well,
Although it's kind of amusing, but it is truly, we're way over the edge here.
yeah, and Tesla's board is having some thoughts about Musk staying on as CEO, right?
Oh yeah.
And to help the company, he should probably leave. He's got another contract with Space Force this time. Instead of Space Force building their own rockets, I guess SpaceX is going to be the one to do it. And the thing with SpaceX was they were down to their last million or something like that. They got a government contract, so then they went. His cars they were close to dying, and he got some government handout. I think that was with Obama. Don't quote me. And so he's the biggest welfare queen of them all in America right
Indeed.
now.
Indeed.
Yeah,
I mean, he's making money even with the with the new 25% tariffs. He's actually making money hand over fist, and that continues on the other things about certain subsidies for electric vehicles that Trump is actually Musk was playing sort of quick and dirty with the financing. So there's some evidence of that. I mean, frankly, it just amazing that some enterprising or more reactionary member of the GOP in the Senate is not latching on to this in terms of their reelection or something.
Right. In Canada, it was $46 million have been kiboshed from going for the EV rebates to Musk's company. Especially because they had 8,600 rebates over one weekend. They applied for. Yeah, there's something going on, you know.
Yeah, I
But
mean, there's a lot of monkey business that we still need to find out about. I'd like us
right,
not to wait 20 years to find it out, but or 50 years, whatever the
right.
embargo is on it. And well, at the present moment, we still don't know, mainly because there's 80,000 pages or items. What happened to JFK, whether that really is going to matter or not. Um, I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that somebody is really somebody must be obsessed enough with the JFK assassination to come up with whatever the amusing thing is. I know that they must have, for example, they must have released the photos of JFK's brain matter. I mean, if
Oh, wow.
anything, that some people are going to like looking at that.
Yeah. No, that's true. As we're Well, you got 15 minutes. Did you want to go through the calendar? I do got a video. I got a Canadian video if you want to end with. It's up to you.
Okay.
But
Okay.
whatever.
Well, let's end with that. But the calendar is interesting calendar. I think Susanna's, if Susanna's here, she can talk a little bit about tomorrow night.
Oh, hi. Actually, that is going to be Saturday, April 5th.
Oh,
It's
all right.
going to be good night and good luck. Yes.
Well, thank you very much. That'll be a 7 in a week from Saturday. I think somebody else is going to show something tomorrow night, and I can't remember what it is. Can someone fill in on that while we talk to Jonathan, Prof. John, and Night Gallery? John? Ooh, John may not be here. He may be still working on slides. Uh,
How do how do people join the group, Anne? What's the best way for them to do it?
just take a
To
look at
watch
our
these
stuff
movies
at
and stuff.
the tech website. You send us a message one way or the other, and we'll invite you into the Discord. You can see stuff, see what's going on. Oh, that's right. Travis is going to show the movie Bernie, which has Jack Black in it. That's tomorrow night at 7. It's really an interesting little film. Adds a kind of biopic element to it, and Travis says, and I probably, it's probably seems so that this is probably Jack Black's best performance. Although I did like him in the Jackal where he gets blown up, but that's that's just me.
What's wrong with School of Rock?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
School of Rock's okay. I mean,
yeah. I've never watched
or
it all.
Nacho Libre or whatever.
Nacho Libre. That's right.
But yes,
Oh,
anyway.
Professor John is in the house.
Oh, there you go. Tell us
No,
about Night Gallery, John.
he's in the hoose.
In the hoose.
Yeah.
I'd like to be in a hoose. Yeah, Night Gallery tonight. So this is our first episode of the Night Gallery. And it's a good one. What's Night Gallery, says Harsh. Very good question. So this was the Rod Serling's follow-up to The Twilight Zone. And it is an anthology series that leans toward horror and the occult, I would say. In the first season, we have 1 hour episodes that are divided into either 2 or 3 separate stories. But it began with the pilot, which was a television movie, which was exceptionally well received by the audience. And I think you'll enjoy it. So we're watching the first episode or the first segment of that television movie this evening.
All right.
And it stars Roddy McDowall and Ozzie Davis.
An interesting pairing.
Yes.
And that's at 8:30 Eastern time, which it's about 40 minutes from now. And so I hope people will be interested in that. A reminder that our net address is the autonomouscollective.net, all mushed together there. And let me remind you of at least my little stuff. 3 p.m. Tomorrow, Saturday, and 3 p.m. Sunday. It's weekly marks. I announced that we're going to be looking at, yes, that wonderful document, Theories of Surplus Value, all 1,000 pages of it, not all on one day, needless to say. And we'll continue on with our reading of Karl Marx's Capital, Volume 1, the 2024 Princeton edition on Sunday. So that's me. Although, just to do more ruthless, shameless self-promotion is at some moment I'm going to figure out how to show the closer and major crimes and do a whole thing on that. Although I don't use PowerPoint, so it'll be something. There'll be something. I will prepare stuff. I will try and figure out. I have a whole thematic that analyzes it, whatever, with the usual bad post-structuralism, but whatever. Anyway, that's me.
Did you guys buy some of Trump's crypto he was pushing?
He made a bunch of bucks this past week with that little pump and dump action.
Right.
He made one post on Trump's Truth Social, and it went up and then went down again. And somebody made a couple mil out of that little action. And Truth Social is not a quote unquote official posting thing. On the other hand, it's got to be treated as some kind of official thing, which technically could be prosecuted on the under the emoluments clause. So,
well, that and $5 million for a dinner with Trump, you would think.
Indeed.
You would think. So, so I guess my question is, America going to be here next week? Or are you going to be able to say stuff on the internet?
I don't know. People, I don't know. Some of it's going to get sold off. I half expect if it all goes to hell, we'll sell Alaska to Russia. But that's the fact that members of Congress will joke about that in a semi-serious way is really scary. Certain members of the GOP have actually commented on this, which is really dumb, if nothing else.
Why not sell Alaska to Canada instead of taking over Canada?
Yeah,
there you go.
We'd buy it. We'll give you some eggs.
Eggs.
Eggs for everyone.
Goose eggs. Canadian goose eggs. Anyway. Well, you've got a thing to close with, don't you?
I do actually, and then I'll play the end there. So subscribe to TAC and go on the internets, and right beside Pete Hexgith's passwords, you'll find TAC on the internet, and come and join and see some stuff. So this is shameless, so I apologize. It is Canadian, so I'm going to apologize. And I hope because it's right off of YouTube, so I hope the commercials don't come in, because the ad blocker doesn't work on it anymore. So we'll see.
All right.
Hey there, Donnie, you called us nasty. Toss shade northward real fast and flashy. We said sorry, then we said guess you just had a bad moose day. You threw your tantrum, stamped your feet. We're just chilling with poutine and peace. While you rage tweet from your golden throne, we keep it real in our maple zone. But the facts don't lie, and neither do Mounties. You got more charges than hockey penalties. A liar, a grifter, a felon supreme. Still somehow you're the star of your own bad dream. You're a fraudster, an adjudicated creep. Twice impeached and still losing sleep. So keep your insults, we've got class. Canada's weather's nice, you can kiss our past. You said we're weak, but we're standing tall. We build free healthcare, you built a wall. Your truths are fiction, your lawsuits stack, while we drink Timbs and watch you crack. You golf while cities drown and burn, still waiting for you to finally learn that being loud don't make you right. We see your record, it's black and white. Yeah, the facts don't lie, and neither do snowstorms. Your alibis are just courtroom folklore. A philanderer with a spray on tan, still pretending to be a self-made man.
I'll tell you, the memes that are out there right now, and songs, it's just incredible. You know. So okay, well let's close it out, and I've got it.
Yes, we wish you well with Above 48, and you know.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We thank you. And thanks, Walt. You know, we'll do more of this. We'll hopefully do better next week. So
I think you've done fine this week.
Tune in again.
Okay.
All right, close it, Walt. Okie dokie. Thanks, Walt.
Hey, thank you. Are you off YouTube now?
I